We have Jonathan Friedland, Chief Communications Officer with Netflix, joining us this afternoon while he's here on an India visit. Thank you very much for joining us on NDTV Profit. Straightforward first question. What does the Indian market need for Netflix? I'll get to the strategic issues later.
Well, we're in just our first couple of weeks here in India, and whenever we come into a new country, we learn an unbelievable amount about what it is that people like and what they're interested in. So we're first of all delighted to be in India. It's a major source of great creative storytelling around the world, and for many years now Netflix has been a platform that has carried a ton of Indian movies and shows to NRIs and other audiences around the world. So we're just getting started here with a catalog which is fairly limited because it's concentrating on our original content. And as we see what it is that people are watching, we will build it up, begin to localize, begin to improve, and make it a much deeper and more satisfying content offering.
Okay, early days, yes, I acknowledge that, but the feedback is beginning to come in. And, the fact that a very small part of the US library is available in India, that's a source of disappointment to those who are looking forward to the Netflix India entry. Address that.
Well, unfortunately, the business practices in the entertainment industry mean that countries are carved up by regional licenses. And although we may have a ton of content in the United States, we've been at it in the United States for a decade now. So what we're trying to do is provide Indians with all of the great original programming on Netflix at the exact same time that people in the United States get it. So the new season of Marvel's Daredevil, which will be appearing in March, will appear at the exact same moment here in India as it does in the United States and the UK and everywhere else. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny, the movie that's premiering in late February, will premiere here exactly at the same time as it appears everywhere else. We have 75 new and returning original series, movies, and documentaries that you can't find anywhere else but Netflix, which will be coming to India this year. In addition to that, we will be, as I said, gradually building out our catalog here so that it fits the needs of local viewing habits. What we have in the United States, unfortunately, isn't available all over the world, and we have to make do. We're trying our best to get everyone the same content at the same time.
Okay, so is it fair to say, and I'm summarizing somewhat broadly here, that the catalog, or at least the international component of the catalog, is not going to be scaled up immediately?
Absolutely. That's what we've done in every single market that we've entered into. What we've learned over time is that the first day we know so much more about what people actually watch than all the research in the world can tell us. So we expect over the next few months our catalog to build very incrementally but consistently, so that by the time 6-8 months from now roll around, you'll be looking at a much broader and very different catalog than you see on Netflix today.
Okay, so it's a gradual process, and perhaps that's what users need to keep in mind. What about the strategy on pricing? And I ask because, you said that the content will be tweaked based on viewership patterns, but you need viewers to sign up so that you can decode those patterns. Price could be a barrier, especially if you're comparing Netflix prices to competitors in India.
Well, our strategy on the pricing is that our price is pretty much the same all over the world. And that's true in Argentina and Brazil as it is in the United States and Germany. We know that by Indian standards, it's expensive. But when you look at the value that you get, this catalog of movies, TV shows, exclusive content delivered across the internet in an extremely effective way, at a monthly price, there's a heck of a lot of value there. And what we found over time is that people see that there's enough great stuff to watch for yourself, for your mom, for your kids, that actually it's a pretty good deal. It costs in India maybe 2 theater tickets per month. In the United States, it's about 1 theater ticket per month. So it's still pretty good value, we would say. And frankly, at this point, we are really focused on people who have credit cards, who have iTunes accounts, who speak English. The service is not localized yet. And that will come over time. But in the early stages, we're really focused just on the people who are going to enjoy Netflix originals and the content that we're bringing alongside it.
You know, I agree with you. There's a certain demographic that Netflix is catering to, but that's the very demographic that is disappointed with the limited US content available. So many resort to the VPN route, and for Netflix to manage that is quite tricky, isn't it?
Sure. You know, we have the obligation to the movie studios and TV studios to protect their territorial rights. This is something based on a very anachronistic business model that came from before internet time. And the way the internet works is people hear about movies and TV shows and they want to watch them. And when they can't watch them legitimately via Netflix or another platform, they go online and they pirate them. So what we've been trying to do is to convince the studios that the best way for them to get people to see their things legitimately is by making them available globally at the same time that they start to market them in the United States. But that is a long process of convincing that we're engaged in, which is in large part why we went into the business of creating our own original content. So we didn't have to answer to other people on that level, and we're able to take control and to present all of the content globally the way we think consumers want it.
Okay, I'm going to stick with the whole content theme, and there's the Bollywood factor and the local content when you're talking about India. What's the Netflix approach to that?
Well, we are certainly very, very enthusiastic about making content in India. India, as I said at the outset, is one of the great fonts of storytelling in the world. Indian movies and TV shows are incredibly popular all over the world, particularly in the Middle East and Asia. We carry a very large catalog of Bollywood and other Indian content in the United States and Europe. We are on the hunt for original productions here. We are also beginning to purchase exclusively Indian movies for distribution globally. The one Indian movie that was at the Sundance Film Festival called Brahman Naman, we announced today that we've acquired it exclusively. It'll be available on Netflix all over the world a little bit later this year. So we are going to be looking for stories from India that we think are going to really resonate for audiences all over the world and in India as well. We will never have a vast and deep content library of everything Bollywood because that's really not the business we're in.
Okay, let me ask this question slightly differently. Who were you meeting with on this India trip? Because perhaps that will give me a sense of how you're approaching the whole local content piece of the puzzle.
Well, look, I'm Chief Communications Officer, so I'm meeting with you and other people like you. Our content teams are constantly here talking to different providers. You know, we've had long-standing relationship with the Indian studios because we become a big platform for their content throughout the world. We have these long-standing relationships, whether we do business with them in creating original content or whether we work directly with producers and filmmakers, I'm not sure yet. It's early days. You know, it took us 10 years from the time that we started the company to start streaming. And it took us 3 years after that to start going globally. And we've only been in the original content business for 3 years now. And you may know, yesterday at the Screen Actors Guild, we won for our television show, Orange is the New Black, and also for our movie, Beast of No Nation. Idris Elba won a Best Supporting Actor award. So we're just getting started in original content, and I'm sure India is going to play an important role in it. It's just very early days yet.
Well, I'm going to leave it at that. Jonathan Friedland, thank you very much for joining us on NDTV Profit.